Hi guys, it has been a while. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I thought I would come on here and answer a question that I get asked quite frequently. And it's one of those questions that it's easier just to talk and answer versus writing it out or answering out in an Insta story, because it's just a little bit more complicated and I feel like it's just a bit more personal if I just talk about it. So the question I get asked a lot is performing when you have anxiety. How do you do it? How do you go out there and perform if you're anxious and you have panic attacks or all that jazz? And so first off, I want to say that it is possible. Do not let your anxiety or your depression or anything like that stop you from doing something you love. Now, before I continue, I want to preface I am not a doctor, I am not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. So everything I say is just my opinion and it's based off of my experience and it's my story. So what worked for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me, and all that jazz. So I have to be truthful and say that when I started performing, first of all, I didn't perform all my life. So when I started performing, it was right before I graduated from college, and then after I was graduated from college, I didn't really have anxiety as bad as I do now, or I did. For me, my anxiety didn't really develop until my like early mid 20s. So I was super gung-ho and I was just like, I'm gonna do this. I don't care. This is something I love to do. I'm just gonna do it. And honestly, I think that perspective will get you quite far if you just decide that nothing is gonna get in your way and I'm just gonna do this and this is something I love. I'm not gonna let anything stop me. And I think that mindset, then when I developed anxiety, got me through it, because I wasn't gonna say no to things I knew I would love to do just because I was anxious about it. So I would just say yes, and I would do it. And I would say, I'm not gonna let my anxiety or my depression get in the way of doing something I love to do. And that was a choice I made. Was it always easy to follow through on that? No, I was human. It was really hard some days. I went through a really nasty breakup when I was performing, and it was really hard. That triggered a lot of anxiety in me, and some days I feel like I was on more autopilot and more anxious than others. But another thing that helped me too is when I was performing, I was a character. So Jessica could be anxious and depressed, but my character isn't. And so I got to put this mask on. And when I put the mask on, I was so focused on being that person that I wasn't thinking about my anxiety or worrying if I'm going to have a panic attack or worrying about all those things. Because I was so in love with what I was doing and interacting that I wasn't myself. So I got to kind of like leave that at the door. Of course, there were times when that was hard. And my other piece of advice would be, remember, there's always an exit. You are never in a situation that there's not like an exit point. So if you need to excuse yourself, you totally could. But no, for me, I got really good at telling when an actual panic attack was coming versus just like me thinking about it and being in my head too much. But as soon as I snapped and focused back into the moment of the character I was being, it's so much easier to let go of the anxiety, because anxiety is pretty much when you start snowballing and thinking too much about the future, right? And depression is when you think too much and you're like hooked on the past. So if you're focused and you're in character about them in the moment, whether it be a play or like whatever you're doing, it's like almost tricking your mind into like forgetting about your anxieties because you're focused in being of the mindset of that character. So yeah. In summation, I feel like this has no point. I hope this helped. somebody. As long as this helps one person, then yay, that's what we want, right? So first advice is make a decision and choose not to let your anxiety keep you from doing what you love. So in this case, performing, but this could stand for anything. Number 2, stay in the present moment. And whether that is you're doing lighting in a show, you're directing, you're producing, you're acting, stay in the moment, stay with your character, be in your character's mind in that moment, and that will help alleviate the anxiety. Third piece of advice is which is a random one that I would use if I was getting nervous for like a performance. Reframe your thinking. So instead of saying, oh, I'm so anxious about this performance coming up, say, I'm so excited about this performance. This is good nerves. This is excited nerves. And if I didn't feel, and I'm feeling this because I care, because if I wasn't nervous or excited, I wouldn't be feeling this. So label your anxiety as either like nerves of excitement, and just even if it feels fake, just start training your brain. No, I'm excited. I'm so excited to do this. And yeah. Ta-da! Oh gosh, this ended really abruptly. But yeah, this probably also went on way too long. So if you watch this, please give this a thumbs up. If you want me to do more videos, please give this a thumbs up. But I hope this helps answer a question that I get quite often. And hopefully I will see you guys more frequently on these videos, and I hope they're really not as long as this one. I'm so sorry.